Those who manipulate the unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. Edward Bernays. In the intricate tapestry of human society, manipulation often operates as a hidden force, shaping our perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors without our conscious awareness. It's a phenomenon as old as civilization itself, woven into the fabric of power dynamics, propaganda, and social influence. From the subtle persuasion techniques of advertisers to the Machiavellian strategies of political leaders, manipulation exerts its influence in myriad ways, often operating just below the surface of our awareness. But what exactly is manipulation, and how does it manifest in our lives? At its core, manipulation involves the art of influencing others' thoughts, emotions, and actions to serve one's own interests, often through deceptive or coercive means. It's a complex interplay of psychology, communication, and power dynamics, where individuals or groups seek to gain advantage at the expense of others' autonomy and well-being. In this exploration, we embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of manipulation, peeling back the layers to reveal its mechanisms and motivations. From the psychological tactics used by manipulators to the broader social and political implications, we'll delve into the intricacies of this pervasive phenomenon. Through a blend of historical insights, psychological research, and real-world examples, we'll shine a light on the tactics employed by manipulators and the impact they have on individuals and society as a whole. But this journey isn't just about understanding manipulation, it's about empowerment. By shining a light on the subtle strategies used to manipulate us, we can become more vigilant, more discerning, and more resilient in the face of manipulation. Armed with knowledge and awareness, we can reclaim our autonomy, protect ourselves from exploitation, and foster healthier, more authentic relationships. So join us as we embark on this journey into the realm of manipulation, guided by curiosity, skepticism, and a commitment to truth. Together, let's uncover the unseen forces that shape our world and forge a path toward greater awareness, autonomy, and empowerment in our interactions and our society. Chapter 1. The Art of Persuasion. In the vast landscape of manipulation tactics, persuasion stands as one of the most potent tools in the manipulator's arsenal. Rooted in the principles of psychology and communication, persuasion seeks to influence others' attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors through strategic messaging and subtle cues. Whether employed by advertisers, politicians, or individuals in our personal lives, persuasion techniques are designed to sway opinions, shape perceptions, and ultimately guide decision-making in a desired direction. At its core, persuasion operates on the principle of appealing to human desires, emotions, and cognitive biases. From the use of persuasive language and storytelling to the manipulation of social proof and authority, persuaders employ a variety of tactics to make their message more compelling and persuasive. By tapping into fundamental human needs such as belonging, security, and self-esteem, they create emotional connections that resonate deeply with their audience, making it more likely that they will be swayed by their message. But persuasion is not always a benign force. It can also be used to exploit vulnerabilities and manipulate individuals for nefarious purposes. From the subtle manipulation techniques used by cult leaders to the sophisticated propaganda campaigns of authoritarian regimes, persuasion can be weaponized to exert control, suppress dissent, and undermine freedom of thought. In this chapter, we'll explore the principles of persuasion, from the classic techniques outlined by pioneers like Robert Cialdini to the modern applications in advertising, politics, and interpersonal relationships. We'll delve into the psychology behind persuasion, examining the cognitive biases and heuristics that make us susceptible to influence. And we'll learn how to recognize and resist manipulation by developing critical thinking skills, fostering skepticism, and cultivating awareness of the persuasive tactics used to sway our decisions. Ultimately, by understanding the art of persuasion, we can become more empowered consumers of information, more resilient to manipulation, and more capable of making informed choices that align with our values and goals. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of persuasion and uncover the secrets to resisting its seductive allure in an increasingly persuasive world. Chapter 2: The Power of Social Proof. In the realm of persuasion, social proof reigns supreme as one of the most potent psychological principles at play. Coined by psychologist Robert Cialdini in his seminal work, Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion, social proof refers to the tendency of individuals to conform to the actions and opinions of others in a given situation. Simply put, when we see others engaging in a behavior or holding a particular belief, we are more likely to follow suit, assuming that their actions or beliefs are correct or desirable. The power of social proof is pervasive in our daily lives, shaping everything from the products we buy to the opinions we hold. Consider the phenomenon of online reviews, where positive ratings and testimonials from other consumers can significantly influence our purchasing decisions. Likewise, the behavior of our peers on social media platforms can sway our attitudes, preferences, and even our sense of identity. But while social proof can be a powerful force for conformity and consensus, it can also be manipulated to manipulate behavior and beliefs. From the use of fake testimonials and fabricated endorsements to the strategic manipulation of social media, algorithms, persuaders can create the illusion of social proof to deceive and influence others. By leveraging the principle of social proof, they can engineer the appearance of popularity, authority, and credibility, thereby increasing the likelihood that their message will be accepted and embraced by their target audience. In this chapter, we'll explore the mechanisms behind social proof and its role in shaping human behavior and decision-making. We'll examine real-world examples of social proof in action, from the influence of celebrity endorsements to the power of peer pressure in group settings. And we'll learn how to spot and resist manipulation by developing a critical eye for social proof cues and maintaining autonomy in the face of social influence. By understanding the power of social proof and its implications for persuasion, we can become more discerning consumers of information, less susceptible to manipulation, and better equipped to navigate the complex social dynamics of the modern world. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of social proof and uncover the secrets to resisting its persuasive pull in an age of unprecedented connectivity and influence. Chapter 3: Authority and Obedience. In the hierarchy of influence, authority holds a position of unparalleled sway over human behavior. From childhood, we are conditioned to obey figures of authority, parents, teachers, and other authority figures, and this inclination persists into adulthood, shaping our interactions and decisions in profound ways. The concept of authority, as explored by psychologist Stanley Milgram in his infamous obedience experiments, reveals the extent to which individuals are willing to comply with commands from perceived authority figures, even when those commands conflict with their own moral principles. In Milgram's studies, participants administered what they believed to be increasingly painful electric shocks to an unseen stranger simply because an authority figure instructed them to do so, demonstrating the frightening power of obedience to authority. But while blind obedience to authority can lead to egregious acts of harm and injustice, authority can also be wielded responsibly and ethically to effect positive change. Legitimate authority figures, such as respected experts and leaders who possess genuine expertise and benevolent intentions, can inspire trust and guide individuals toward constructive action. By leveraging their authority to advocate for worthy causes, champion moral values, and inspire collective action, these figures can harness the power of authority for the greater good. However, The pervasiveness of authority-based influence also makes it ripe for exploitation by manipulative actors seeking to coerce compliance and exert control. From charismatic cult leaders and demagogic politicians to unscrupulous advertisers and con artists, individuals and organizations with nefarious intentions can exploit the natural tendency to defer to authority, using it to manipulate and exploit unsuspecting victims. In this chapter, we delve into the psychology of authority and obedience, exploring the factors that contribute to our willingness to obey authority figures and the ethical implications of blind obedience. We examine the role of authority in shaping our perceptions, attitudes, and behaviors, and we uncover strategies for resisting undue influence and asserting autonomy in the face of authority-based persuasion. By understanding the dynamics of authority and obedience, we can learn to navigate the complexities of power and influence more effectively, discerning between legitimate authorities worthy of our trust and manipulative charlatans seeking to exploit our vulnerabilities. Join us as we explore the fascinating interplay between authority and obedience and discover the keys to safeguarding our autonomy and integrity in a world where authority holds sway over our thoughts and actions. Chapter 4. Deception and Misdirection. In the intricate dance of manipulation, deception and misdirection serve as potent tools for manipulating perceptions, distorting reality, and eliciting compliance from unsuspecting targets. Whether employed by cunning con artists, shrewd propagandists, or Machiavellian schemers, these tactics exploit our cognitive vulnerabilities and prey upon our trust and naivety. Deception, the deliberate act of misleading others by concealing or distorting information, lies at the heart of many manipulative strategies. From white lies and half-truths to elaborate hoaxes and fabrications, deceivers use a variety of techniques to manipulate perceptions, sow confusion, and advance their agendas. By exploiting our tendency to trust and our desire for certainty, they create illusions of truth and manipulate our beliefs, emotions, and behaviors. Misdirection, a form of deception that involves redirecting attention or focus away from a critical point or truth, is another powerful tool in the manipulator's arsenal. Magicians and illusionists have long relied on misdirection to create captivating performances that leave audiences spellbound and bewildered. Similarly, manipulators use misdirection to distract and disorient their targets, steering them away from inconvenient truths or critical information that might challenge their influence or authority. In the realm of persuasion, subtle forms of deception and misdirection permeate advertising, propaganda, and political discourse, shaping public opinion and influencing decision-making. Advertisers employ persuasive techniques that exploit cognitive biases and emotional triggers to sell products and sway consumer behavior. Politicians and propagandists use deceptive tactics to manipulate public perceptions, frame narratives, and advance their agendas, often at the expense of truth and integrity. But while deception and misdirection can be powerful tools for manipulation, they also carry ethical implications and consequences. The erosion of trust, the dissemination of misinformation, and the exploitation of vulnerable individuals are among the harmful outcomes that can result from deceptive practices. Moreover, the pervasive use of deception in interpersonal relationships can erode trust, undermine intimacy, and damage the fabric of social cohesion. In this chapter, we explore the insidious nature of deception and misdirection, examining the psychological mechanisms that make us susceptible to manipulation and the ethical dilemmas posed by their use. We uncover the tactics employed by deceivers and manipulators to exploit our cognitive vulnerabilities and shape our perceptions, and we discuss strategies for detecting and resisting deceptive influence. By cultivating critical thinking skills, honing our ability to discern truth from falsehood, and guarding against manipulation tactics, we can empower ourselves to navigate the complex landscape of deception and misdirection with clarity, integrity, and resilience. Join us as we shine a light on the dark art of manipulation and illuminate the path to greater awareness, autonomy, and ethical conduct in the face of deceitful persuasion tactics. Chapter 5. Emotional exploitation and guilt tripping. Emotional exploitation and guilt tripping are manipulative tactics that exploit our emotions and vulnerabilities to control, influence, or coerce us into compliance. By leveraging our feelings of empathy, guilt, fear, or obligation, manipulators seek to manipulate our behavior and extract concessions or favors. Emotional exploitation involves the deliberate manipulation of emotions to elicit sympathy, empathy, or compassion from others. Whether through feigned vulnerability, exaggerated displays of emotion, or calculated acts of kindness, manipulators use emotional manipulation to gain sympathy and manipulate others' perceptions of them. By presenting themselves as victims or martyrs, they seek to elicit support, validation, or special treatment from their targets. Guilt tripping is a form of emotional manipulation that involves inducing feelings of guilt or shame in others to manipulate their behavior or choices. Manipulators may use guilt-inducing statements, passive-aggressive tactics, or emotional blackmail to make their targets feel responsible for their unhappiness, disappointment, or suffering. By exploiting our sense of obligation or moral duty, they coerce us into complying with their demands or sacrificing our own needs and desires. Both emotional exploitation and guilt tripping can have profound effects on our mental and emotional well-being, eroding our self-esteem, undermining our autonomy, and fostering codependent relationships. When we internalize feelings of guilt or obligation, we may become trapped in toxic dynamics characterized by manipulation, resentment, and emotional dependency. In the realm of interpersonal relationships, emotional manipulation and guilt tripping can manifest in various forms, from subtle manipulation tactics employed by romantic partners to coercive tactics used by family members or friends. Manipulators may use guilt as a weapon to control or manipulate their partners, exploit their insecurities, or undermine their self-confidence. Similarly, parents, siblings, or friends may use guilt to manipulate our decisions, influence our choices, or extract concessions from us. In professional settings, emotional manipulation tactics may be used to manipulate colleagues, subordinates, or superiors for personal gain or professional advancement. Managers or supervisors may use guilt-inducing tactics to pressure employees into working overtime, taking on additional responsibilities, or sacrificing their personal time for the sake of the organization. Similarly, co-workers may use emotional manipulation to gain advantage in workplace dynamics, undermine colleagues' credibility, or advance their own agendas. By raising awareness of the tactics used by manipulators, cultivating emotional intelligence, and asserting our boundaries, we can protect ourselves from emotional exploitation and guilt tripping, reclaim our autonomy, and foster healthier, more authentic relationships built on trust, empathy, and mutual respect. Join us as we delve into the complex dynamics of emotional manipulation and empower ourselves to navigate the challenges of interpersonal relationships with clarity, confidence, and resilience. Chapter 6. Unveiling gaslighting and psychological manipulation. Gaslighting, a sinister form of psychological manipulation, aims to plant seeds of doubt in the target's perceptions, memories, and sanity, causing them to question their reality. This treacherous tactic involves gradually eroding the target's confidence and sense of self-worth by casting doubt on their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The process of gaslighting typically commences subtly. The manipulator may deny, trivialize, or selectively forget events, undermining the target's grasp of reality. They might dismiss the target's concerns, invalidate their emotions, or distort past occurrences, leaving the target bewildered and uncertain. As gaslighting advances, the manipulator often intensifies their tactics. They may distort facts, fabricate falsehoods, or manipulate evidence to construct a warped version of reality. Consequently, the target feels disoriented, isolated, and powerless, trapped in a convoluted narrative orchestrated by the manipulator. Gaslighting inflicts profound harm on the target's mental and emotional well-being, inducing feelings of confusion, self-doubt, and inadequacy. Over time, the target may grow reliant on the manipulator for validation and reassurance, reinforcing the power imbalance and perpetuating the cycle of abuse. In interpersonal relationships, gaslighting serves as a tool to assert control, manipulate behavior, or assert dominance. Romantic partners may use gaslighting to undermine their significant other's confidence, isolate them, or justify abusive conduct. Similarly, family members or friends may resort to gaslighting to silence dissent, shirk accountability, or maintain authority. In professional environments, gaslighting manifests in various guises, from subtle manipulation tactics among colleagues to coercive strategies in workplace dynamics. Colleagues may employ gaslighting to discredit peers, undermine their credibility, or deflect blame. Likewise, managers or supervisors may resort to gaslighting to exploit employees' insecurities or evade responsibility for organizational failures. By identifying the hallmarks of gaslighting, fostering self-awareness, and asserting boundaries, we can shield ourselves from psychological manipulation, reclaim our reality, and safeguard our mental and emotional well-being. Join us as we delve into the intricate mechanisms of gaslighting, empower ourselves to confront manipulation with clarity and resolve, and cultivate healthier, more authentic relationships founded on trust and mutual respect. Chapter 7. The destructive power of emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail, a coercive tactic employed to manipulate others' behavior and extract compliance, relies on the exploitation of fear, guilt, and obligation. In this chapter, we explore the insidious nature of emotional blackmail, dissecting its manipulative techniques and examining its profound impact on relationships and self-esteem. At its core, emotional blackmail operates through the imposition of threats, ultimatums, or emotional manipulation to compel the target to conform to the manipulator's desires or expectations. The manipulator may deploy various strategies, such as withholding affection, using guilt-inducing statements, or leveraging personal vulnerabilities to coerce compliance and maintain control. One of the most common manifestations of emotional blackmail is the use of conditional love or affection as leverage for compliance. Manipulators may threaten to withdraw love, approval, or support unless the target accedes to their demands, creating a pervasive atmosphere of fear, insecurity, and dependence. Another prevalent tactic in emotional blackmail involves the exploitation of guilt and shame to elicit compliance. Manipulators may weaponize past grievances, mistakes, or vulnerabilities, using them as ammunition to induce feelings of guilt or inadequacy in the target. By instilling a sense of moral obligation or indebtedness, they compel the target to comply with their wishes, regardless of their own needs or boundaries. The consequences of succumbing to emotional blackmail can be devastating, eroding the target's sense of autonomy, self-worth, and emotional well-being. Over time, repeated exposure to manipulation may lead to feelings of resentment, powerlessness, and emotional exhaustion, undermining the integrity of the relationship and the target's mental health. Recognizing the signs of emotional blackmail, establishing firm boundaries, and cultivating assertiveness are essential steps in mitigating its detrimental effects and reclaiming agency over one's life. By refusing to acquiesce to manipulation, asserting one's needs and boundaries, and seeking support from trusted allies or professionals, individuals can break free from the cycle of emotional blackmail and cultivate healthier, more authentic relationships built on mutual respect and reciprocity. Chapter 8. Gaslighting, distorting reality for control. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation aimed at distorting or altering the victim's perception of reality to undermine their confidence, autonomy, and sanity. In this chapter, we delve into the insidious tactics of gaslighting, exploring its devastating effects on victims and strategies for recognizing and confronting this pervasive form of manipulation. At its core, gaslighting involves the deliberate distortion of facts, events, or experiences to sow seeds of doubt and confusion in the victim's mind. Manipulators may deny or minimize their abusive behavior, trivialize the victim's concerns, or fabricate alternative narratives to invalidate their perceptions and experiences. By eroding the victim's trust in their own judgment and memory, gaslighters seek to exert control and dominance over their victims. Gaslighting often begins subtly, with the manipulator employing tactics such as trivializing the victim's feelings, questioning their sanity, or invalidating their reality. Over time, these tactics escalate in intensity, with the gaslighter resorting to more overt forms of manipulation, such as outright denial, blame shifting, or gaslighting others to corroborate their false narrative. The consequences of gaslighting can be profound, resulting in feelings of confusion, self-doubt, and isolation in the victim. Gaslighting erodes the victim's sense of reality, leaving them questioning their perceptions and second-guessing their instincts. Over time, victims may internalize the gaslighter's narrative, leading to a loss of confidence, identity, and autonomy. Recognizing the signs of gaslighting is crucial in protecting oneself from its harmful effects. Victims of gaslighting may experience cognitive dissonance, memory lapses, or feelings of anxiety and self-doubt. By trusting their instincts, seeking validation from trusted allies, and documenting instances of manipulation, victims can begin to reclaim their sense of reality and autonomy. Confronting gaslighting requires courage, assertiveness, and a commitment to self-preservation. Victims must assert their boundaries, challenge the gaslighter's false narrative, and seek support from friends, family, or mental health professionals. By refusing to internalize the gaslighter's distortions and reclaiming their truth, victims can break free from the cycle of manipulation and regain control over their lives. Chapter 9. Isolation and alienation, the tactics of control. Isolation and alienation are powerful tools used by manipulators to exert control over their victims and undermine their support networks. In this chapter, we explore how isolation and alienation are employed as tactics of manipulation, examine their devastating effects on victims, and discuss strategies for breaking free from the grip of isolation. Manipulators often seek to isolate their victims by severing their ties with friends, family, and support systems. They may employ tactics such as spreading rumors, sowing discord, or instigating conflicts to drive a wedge between the victim and their social network. By isolating the victim, manipulators gain greater control over their thoughts, emotions, and actions, making it easier to manipulate and exploit them. Isolation and alienation can have profound psychological and emotional effects on victims, leading to feelings of loneliness, despair, and helplessness. Victims may come to rely solely on the manipulator for validation, support, and companionship, further cementing their dependence and vulnerability. As the victim's social circle diminishes, their sense of identity and self-worth may also erode, leaving them isolated and powerless. Breaking free from the grip of isolation requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to reach out for support. Victims must recognize the manipulator's tactics and take proactive steps to rebuild their social network and reclaim their autonomy. This may involve reconnecting with old friends, seeking out new social opportunities, or joining support groups where they can find validation and understanding. Additionally, victims must work to strengthen their sense of self-worth and resilience in the face of manipulation. By cultivating self-awareness, setting boundaries, and practicing self-care, victims can begin to rebuild their confidence and assert their independence. Through therapy, counseling, or support groups, victims can also process their experiences, heal from emotional wounds, and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Ultimately, breaking free from isolation and alienation requires a commitment to self-discovery, growth, and empowerment. By reclaiming their social connections, rebuilding their sense of self-worth, and seeking support from trusted allies, victims can break free from the manipulator's grasp and regain control over their lives. Chapter 10. Gaslighting, distorting reality for control. Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic used by abusers to distort the victim's perception of reality, making them doubt their own experiences, memories, and sanity. In this chapter, we delve into the insidious nature of gaslighting, its impact on victims, and strategies for recognizing and combating this form of psychological manipulation. Gaslighting typically involves the abuser denying, trivializing, or distorting the victim's feelings, experiences, or perceptions. They may insist that the victim is imagining things, exaggerating, or overreacting to situations, causing the victim to question their own judgment and sanity. Over time, gaslighting erodes the victim's confidence, self-esteem, and sense of reality, leaving them vulnerable to further manipulation and control. Victims of gaslighting often find themselves in a constant state of confusion, self-doubt, and anxiety. They may second-guess their memories, perceptions, and emotions, wondering if they can trust their own judgment. Gaslighting can also lead to feelings of isolation and alienation, as victims may struggle to confide in others or seek support for fear of being dismissed or invalidated. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. Victims must learn to trust their instincts, validate their experiences, and recognize when they are being manipulated. This may involve keeping a journal, seeking validation from trusted friends or family members, or consulting with a therapist or counselor who can provide perspective and support. Combating gaslighting requires assertiveness, self-confidence, and a willingness to confront the abuser. Victims must learn to set boundaries, assert their reality, and refuse to accept the abuser's distortions or denials. This may involve confronting the abuser directly, seeking validation from others, or disengaging from interactions that feel invalidating or manipulative. Healing from the effects of gaslighting requires time, self-compassion, and support from others. Victims must work to rebuild their self-esteem, trust in their own perceptions, and confidence in their ability to discern truth from manipulation. Through therapy, counseling, or support groups, victims can process their experiences, heal from emotional wounds, and develop healthier coping mechanisms for dealing with manipulation in the future. By recognizing the signs of gaslighting, asserting their reality, and seeking support, victims can break free from the cycle of manipulation and reclaim their sense of self-worth, autonomy, and inner peace. Chapter 11. Love bombing. Beware of false affection. Love bombing is a manipulative tactic used by individuals to overwhelm their targets with affection, attention, and flattery in order to gain control and manipulate them. In this chapter, we explore the deceptive nature of love bombing, its impact on victims, and strategies for recognizing and protecting oneself from this form of manipulation. Love bombing typically begins with an intense and rapid display of affection, compliments, and declarations of love or admiration. The manipulator showers the target with attention, gifts, and gestures of affection, creating an illusion of an idealized relationship or connection. This initial phase is often characterized by an overwhelming sense of validation, excitement, and euphoria for the target. However, behind the facade of affection lies a manipulative agenda. The love bomber uses these tactics to gain the target's trust, lower their defenses, and establish control over them. Once the target is emotionally invested, the love bomber may begin to exert control, manipulate their emotions, or exploit their vulnerabilities for personal gain. Victims of love bombing often find themselves swept up in a whirlwind romance, feeling adored, cherished, and desired. They may overlook red flags or warning signs in the relationship, dismissing concerns or doubts in favor of the intense feelings of affection and validation provided by the manipulator. Over time, however, the facade begins to crumble, revealing the true intentions behind the love bombing tactics. Recognizing love bombing requires vigilance, discernment, and an awareness of one's own vulnerabilities. Victims must learn to differentiate between genuine affection and manipulative tactics, questioning the sincerity and motives behind extravagant displays of love or affection. This may involve setting boundaries, taking things slow in new relationships, and seeking validation from trusted friends or family members. Protecting oneself from love bombing involves maintaining a healthy skepticism, asserting boundaries, and prioritizing self-care and self-respect. Victims must learn to trust their instincts, listen to their intuition, and be wary of individuals who try to rush or manipulate the pace of a relationship. By maintaining independence, autonomy, and self-worth, individuals can protect themselves from falling prey to love-bombing tactics. Healing from the effects of love bombing requires self-reflection, self-compassion, and support from others. Victims must work to rebuild their self-esteem, trust in their own judgment, and confidence in their ability to discern healthy relationships from manipulative ones. Through therapy, counseling, or support groups, victims can process their experiences, heal from emotional wounds, and develop healthier relationship patterns in the future. By recognizing the signs of love bombing, asserting boundaries, and prioritizing self-care, individuals can protect themselves from falling victim to manipulation and maintain healthy, fulfilling relationships based on mutual respect and genuine affection. Chapter 12. Gaslighting. Recognizing and resisting psychological manipulation. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which the manipulator seeks to sow seeds of doubt in the target's mind, making them question their perception, memory, and sanity. In this chapter, we delve into the insidious nature of gaslighting, its damaging effects on victims, and strategies for recognizing and resisting this form of manipulation. Gaslighting often begins subtly, with the manipulator undermining the target's confidence and perception through subtle denial, contradiction, or distortion of facts. Over time, the gaslighter may escalate their tactics, systematically eroding the target's sense of reality, self-worth, and autonomy. This can lead the victim to doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, fostering a state of confusion, anxiety, and self-doubt. Victims of gaslighting may find themselves questioning their memory, judgment, and sanity, unsure of what is real and what is imagined. They may become increasingly dependent on the gaslighter for validation, reassurance, and guidance, losing touch with their own inner voice and intuition. This erodes the victim's self-esteem, self-trust, and ability to assert themselves, leaving them vulnerable to further manipulation and control. Recognizing gaslighting requires awareness, validation, and a willingness to trust one's own perceptions and experiences. Victims must learn to recognize the subtle signs of gaslighting, such as denial, contradiction, blame-shifting, and trivializing their concerns. They must trust their instincts, listen to their intuition, and seek validation from trusted friends, family members, or professionals who can provide perspective and support. Resisting gaslighting involves asserting boundaries, standing firm in one's truth, and refusing to internalize the gaslighter's distortions or manipulations. Victims must learn to set limits on the gaslighter's behavior, refusing to engage in arguments or debates designed to undermine their reality. They must prioritize self-care, self-validation, and self-compassion, cultivating a strong sense of self-worth and confidence in their own perceptions and experiences. Healing from the effects of gaslighting requires self-awareness, self-empowerment, and support from others. Victims must work to rebuild their trust in themselves, their intuition, and their ability to discern truth from manipulation. Through therapy, counseling, or support groups, victims can process their experiences, challenge negative beliefs, and develop healthier coping strategies for dealing with gaslighting in the future. By recognizing the signs of gaslighting, asserting boundaries, and prioritizing self-validation, individuals can protect themselves from falling victim to manipulation and maintain a strong sense of self-worth and autonomy in their relationships and interactions. Chapter 13. Covert Manipulation Tactics, Uncovering Hidden Influence. Covert manipulation tactics are subtle, deceptive strategies used by manipulators to exert control and influence over others without their awareness. In this chapter, we uncover the clandestine methods employed by manipulators, shed light on their covert tactics, and empower individuals to recognize and defend against hidden manipulation. Unlike overt forms of manipulation, which are easily identifiable, covert tactics operate beneath the surface, often disguised as innocent or well-intentioned behavior. These tactics can include subtle forms of persuasion, emotional manipulation, and psychological coercion designed to subtly shape the target's thoughts, feelings, and behavior. One common covert manipulation tactic is gaslighting, as discussed in the previous chapter. Gaslighters employ subtle tactics to undermine the target's confidence and perception, causing them to doubt their reality and rely on the gaslighter for validation and guidance. By sowing seeds of doubt and confusion, gaslighters exert control over the target's thoughts and emotions, leaving them vulnerable to further manipulation. Another covert manipulation tactic is guilt tripping, in which the manipulator uses guilt or shame to manipulate the target into complying with their wishes or demands. This can involve subtle cues, such as sighing, eye-rolling, or making passive-aggressive comments, designed to evoke feelings of guilt or obligation in the target. Over time, the target may internalize these feelings, feeling responsible for the manipulator's emotions and behavior. Other covert manipulation tactics include love bombing, triangulation, and manipulation through flattery or charm. Love bombing involves showering the target with excessive attention, affection, and praise in order to gain their trust and dependence. Triangulation involves creating conflicts or rivalries between the target and others, causing them to compete for the manipulator's approval and attention. Manipulation through flattery or charm involves using compliments, flattery, or charm to disarm the target and lower their defenses, making them more susceptible to manipulation. Recognizing covert manipulation tactics requires vigilance, awareness, and critical thinking. Individuals must learn to trust their instincts, question the motives behind others' behavior, and pay attention to subtle cues and patterns of manipulation. By staying alert to the signs of covert manipulation, individuals can protect themselves from falling victim to hidden influence and maintain their autonomy and integrity in their relationships and interactions. Chapter 14. Protecting Yourself, Strategies for Defense and Resilience. In this chapter, we delve into practical strategies for defending yourself against manipulation and building resilience in the face of covert tactics. Empowering individuals to recognize, resist, and recover from manipulation is essential for safeguarding their mental and emotional well-being and preserving their autonomy and agency. One crucial strategy for protecting yourself against manipulation is to cultivate self-awareness and emotional intelligence. By developing a deep understanding of your own thoughts, feelings, and motivations, you can better discern when you are being manipulated and take steps to assert your boundaries and protect your interests. This involves practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and introspection to tune into your inner voice and intuition. Another important defense against manipulation is to set clear and assertive boundaries in your relationships and interactions. Establishing healthy boundaries allows you to define what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior and communicate your needs and limits to others effectively. This may involve saying no when necessary, asserting your rights and preferences, and standing firm in the face of manipulation attempts. Additionally, learning to recognize manipulation tactics and understand their underlying dynamics is essential for building resilience and resistance. Educating yourself about common manipulation techniques, such as gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and love bombing, can help you identify when you are being manipulated and respond appropriately. This knowledge empowers you to challenge manipulative behavior, assert your autonomy, and protect yourself from undue influence. Building a strong support network of trusted friends, family members, or professionals is also vital for resilience and defense against manipulation. Having a supportive community to turn to for validation, guidance, and perspective can provide invaluable emotional support and validation, helping you navigate difficult situations and resist manipulation more effectively. Finally, practicing self-care and prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being is essential for resilience and protection against manipulation. Engaging in activities that promote relaxation, self-expression, and personal growth, such as hobbies, exercise, or creative pursuits, can help you build resilience and strengthen your sense of self-worth and identity. Taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually enables you to withstand the pressures of manipulation and maintain your sense of empowerment and autonomy. By implementing these strategies and cultivating resilience, individuals can protect themselves from manipulation, assert their boundaries, and maintain their integrity and well-being in their relationships and interactions. Chapter 15. Navigating complex relationships, honoring autonomy and mutual respect. In this chapter, we explore the intricacies of navigating complex relationships with integrity, autonomy, and mutual respect. Building healthy, fulfilling connections requires a delicate balance of assertiveness, empathy, and boundary setting to ensure that both parties feel valued, heard, and understood. One essential aspect of navigating complex relationships is recognizing and respecting individual autonomy and agency. Each person involved in a relationship deserves the freedom to make their own choices, express their own opinions, and pursue their own interests without undue influence or coercion. Honoring autonomy involves fostering an environment of trust, transparency, and open communication, where individuals feel empowered to assert their boundaries and advocate for their needs. At the same time, cultivating empathy and compassion is crucial for fostering understanding and connection in complex relationships. By actively listening to others, validating their experiences, and seeking to understand their perspectives, we can build bridges of empathy and create space for mutual growth and healing. Empathy allows us to recognize the humanity and inherent worth of each individual, fostering deeper connections and fostering a sense of belonging and acceptance. Setting and respecting boundaries is another key aspect of navigating complex relationships with integrity and respect. Healthy boundaries serve as protective barriers that define acceptable and unacceptable behavior, safeguarding our physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. By clearly communicating our boundaries and respecting the boundaries of others, we establish a foundation of trust, safety, and mutual respect that forms the basis of healthy relationships. Navigating complex relationships also requires a commitment to ongoing growth, learning, and personal development. Each interaction and experience presents an opportunity for self-reflection, introspection, and growth, enabling us to deepen our understanding of ourselves and others and cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. By approaching relationships with curiosity, openness, and a willingness to learn and evolve, we can overcome challenges, resolve conflicts, and foster deeper connections based on mutual respect and understanding. In conclusion, navigating complex relationships requires a multifaceted approach that honors autonomy, cultivates empathy, and respects boundaries. By fostering open communication, empathy, and mutual respect, we can build strong, resilient connections that enrich our lives and support our growth and well-being. In closing, navigating complex relationships is a journey filled with challenges, growth opportunities, and moments of profound connection. By embracing the principles of autonomy, empathy, and boundary setting, we can cultivate relationships that are built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and authenticity. As we continue on our path of personal growth and self-discovery, let us remember to approach each interaction with compassion, curiosity, and a commitment to honoring the inherent dignity and worth of every individual. By doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but also contribute to the creation of a more compassionate, empathetic, and interconnected world. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of navigating complex relationships. May you continue to navigate your own relationships with grace, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to fostering connection and understanding, and understanding, and understanding, and understanding, and understanding, and understanding.